What's up, W Sports Podcast? Jimothy and Tubby, we are back at it again to recap all of your news and notes from the NFL week that was bipocalypse for all you fantasy owners. Sorry about that. I know you're probably looking at those scoring sites and you're like, oh my gosh, who am I even playing
Yeah.
now? But thankfully, if you survived, you can live on to fight another day. But we're grateful for the support on the channel. So thank you so much for hitting subscribe. Right now, at this point, I need to stop talking because Tubby, we're back to the show. So welcome back, man. Here we are.
We're here. We're ready. We had some interesting games this weekend.
We sure
With
did. I think, yeah. Is there one you want to start with?
hmm,
Because I have one. If you don't,
well, let's go with one.
Panthers again. They're on the edge, and they
Yeah,
keep not getting there. They're clearly a very young team, but the Eagles, the Panthers, a much tighter game than we anticipated. But this has been kind of a trend that we've seen with the Panthers recently.
hmm.
Is this in fact a trend, or are people just sleeping on the Panthers? Like, are the Panthers actually getting better?
I think this is something we haven't talked enough about, and I was thinking about this today actually. So I'm glad you brought this up. Bryce Young has been a totally different player since he has come back after he got benched, and I think it speaks a lot to what Dave Canales was able to do those 4 weeks where he wasn't starting to try to rebuild some confidence in the guy, and he's playing a lot like he did in college, where he's not just standing like a statue in the pocket. He's trying to get out to the outside, roll out, make some throws, and he looks so much more comfortable right now than I've seen him at any point in his NFL career over the first year and a half. So I think it's a big part to the fact that Bryce Young is taking that step forward that he needed to. Because right now, if you look at his numbers, his last 6 starts, his numbers are better over the last 6 games than CJ Stroud's.
Uh, Texans fans have got to be, I think, a little nervous about that fact.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. To put that in perspective, Bryce Young aren't off the charts. Like, they're not like
No,
jumping off the page like he's on this
no.
hot streak. He's
Hmm.
just in a development streak right now that I
Yeah.
think what you are bringing light to is really important, and another reason why, if you do have a QB whisperer type coach,
Yep.
don't be rushed to get these guys into the starting lineup because maybe you can do more good if you just be patient. I know that's a terrible word here in the NFL, but
Yeah.
just be patient a little bit because then you'll have this. I mean, they have a 6 point loss, which took a 2 point conversion and a touchdown in the fourth quarter for the Eagles to win. Lost
Hmm.
by 3 in overtime. Lost by 3 to the Chiefs. They beat the Giants by 3. They beat the Saints. Lost to the Broncos by 2 possessions. Was their last time they lost by more. That was his first start back. So since then, they've
Yeah.
been one possession games.
Yeah. I think it's
Doing
a
great.
great step forward for them as an organization looking forward to go, okay, we can start to see the potential of what he can be. And now you get that, if you can get that guy a few more targets, you
Hmm.
know, maybe go out there and sign a guy like T. Higgins this offseason. Or
Yeah.
if you're looking in the draft, there's some great wide receivers in this upcoming draft. Once again, you go out there and get a guy like a Teteroa McMillan or Luther Burden. You got your guy, your number one wide receiver. Go with your number two wide receiver and Xavier Legette, and then another solid number three wide receiver. Even though Adam Thielen's older,
Hmm.
still a solid, three wide receiver. And now you're starting to get the guy some weapons and people that he can trust to throw the football to.
Yeah. No, I like that too, T. Higgins. I like that one. They tried with the Deontay Johnson, and wow,
Did
what a
not work.
disaster! Holy cow!
Yeah.
Speaking of NFC South, we don't have to talk anything about this game. Saints 14-11. Anybody have that as the the final score on that game? That was gross.
That was an ugly game.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara 17 for 44. I mean, at least they kept giving the ball, and that's probably why they won was they ran the ball 33 times in spite of just making Derek Carr throw the ball around. But yeah, that
And
was
then
disgusting.
Derek Carr fractured his hand and is
I
out for
know.
the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and they have Jake Hayner who took another snap. They did this last time, and
Yeah,
then they went with Spencer Rattler. Is this another situation like this, or is
they
Hayner the
better
future?
not. Hayner's got to be the guy that you put in. At least Hayner's look, okay compared to the not okay that Spencer Rattler was the 2 starts that he had. So I would go with Hayner again because I don't think draft stuff. I was not a big fan of Spencer Rattler going into the draft, anyways. So I don't think that he's really going to be an answer for anything. I don't think Jake Hayner is either, but I think he's the better of the two options.
Yeah. And the other team that we'll mention the NFC South real quick. We got the Falcons. Revenge game. Kirk Cousins going to go in there and he's going to drop 4 or 5 touchdowns. He's going to completely erase what he did last week with the Falcons. Oh, sorry. It was Sam Darnold who put up 5 touchdowns and almost 350 yards passing. Holy
Yeah.
cow. Are the Vikings for real? They're 11-2. They and the Eagles both have 11-2 records at this point.
I mean, I hesitate to say that they're for real just because I feel like when it all says, it's all said and done, when it comes to the big moment in the playoffs, can Sam Darnold get it done? That will be the biggest question. That's what, makes me hesitate a little bit saying, yeah, they're for real. Just because of that, that fact that Sam Darnold is the one leading the team.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't trust the guy, but he's played great this year. He's
Mm-hmm.
definitely reclaimed his, his NFL career in a season. So hats off to him and what they keep on doing. But I'm still not completely sold that they could be a super threat in the playoffs.
Yeah, their 2 losses this year were back to back, and that it looked like that was going to
Mm-hmm.
be the role of something new, and it just after that they honestly had an easy schedule, so
Mm-hmm.
they've really righted the ship since then. But they lost to the Lions by 2 and the Rams by 10,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, at least for the very least, at the very least, however you want to say that, Sam
Mm-hmm.
Darnold for sure, 28 touchdowns this year. That's only
Yeah.
10 interceptions. He's been a turnover machine in his
Yeah.
career, and maybe it's because he's playing bad teams. Or
Yeah,
maybe
that
it's
could
just
be.
because he's just in a better system that trusts him a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, McConnell could be the answer.
Yeah.
The reason why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah. So at this point, the Falcons are 6-7. We're going to talk about the Bucks here in just a second, as they have taken over the lead for this division that is still pretty weak year over year.
Yeah.
Is there a point that you start to think, ooh, I'm inching a little bit if I'm a Falcons fan for Penix?
Yeah. I think
Oh,
that you're starting to get to that point, and that it sounds like they're already having those conversations upstairs, at least for next year. That they
yeah.
expect people around the league expect them to start shopping Kirk Cousins in the off season after you just paid him $100 million.
Hmm.
So, I it was a head scratcher whenever they signed him, then drafted Penix. You're like,
It
what's
doesn't make sense.
what's the play there? So maybe we see Kirk Cousins end up getting traded to maybe the New York Giants or something like that in the offseason.
Yeah, I can see that the Giants desperately need a quarterback, and I don't think they're gonna. I don't know how they if they reinvest in a quarterback in the college, but I also don't know that they have the patience for one in college.
Yeah, and especially not this year.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, maybe.
Nah,
Maybe.
I like Gabriel, but I don't think he's an
Carson
NFL
Beck.
quarterback. Definitely not.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Buccaneers, who are now the only team above 500 at 7-6. They just took over there, and they've won 3 games in a row. Baker Mayfield leading his team. He had 2 more interceptions. Be
Mhm.
that as it may, he has 28 touchdowns, just like Sam Darnold. Do you trust this Buccaneers team right now?
I do. They're starting to get healthy, at least on the offensive side. They need to get a little bit more healthy on the defensive side. They did lose Anton Winfield once again for a little bit, but Mike Evans is healthy. We're seeing what McMillan can do when he has someone else on the field. Sterling Shepard has looked really solid. K. Dotton, they're starting to figure out their run game, which was their biggest weakness the last 2 years. They were the worst team in the NFL when it came to rushing, and they're starting to see the really good dynamic duo that White and Bucky Irving can be.
Yeah, Bucky Irving did get hurt again. His back
He
tightened
did.
up in the game. So
Mm-hmm.
luckily, they have 3 guys that they're willing to go with:
Yeah,
Tucker, White, and
Tucker's.
Irving. So they just went with
Mm-hmm.
White mostly in this game. But again,
Yeah,
that does bring up the question, though. Aiden O'Connell, he's out for the rest of the year.
yeah.
They put in Desmond Ritter, who we know who he is. He's just a backup quarterback, and so the rumors have already started to spread that they want Tom Brady to go to the Raiders, which I don't think he can.
I mean,
As
he's part owner.
Yeah, so maybe he can. I don't know how that would work, but you look at this. If you were the Raiders, would you do it? The answer should be a flat out no, right?
No, and then if you're Tom Brady, why would you do it?
Yeah, yeah, 2-11.
I mean,
Come on, guys.
yeah, it's not like it's not like your starting quarterback got hurt and you're in the playoff hunt.
Yeah,
You're one of the worst teams in the NFL, so why would he want to come play? I
no,
don't care if I own the team.
yeah, no chance. This would be like the ultimate. Like Pete Rose. Like, hey, I'm still I'm coaching, but like I'm going to
Yeah,
get out there, get a couple swings in. I missed the game a
yeah.
little bit.
No,
He should not be doing that.
no, it would be the dumbest thing because then you're walking away from the money that you got for sitting up in a booth working for Fox.
Yeah. Brock Bowers, though, has he cemented himself as the rookie of the year on the offensive side?
I mean, definitely in that conversation. I think he's in that conversation with Daniels and Bo Nix right now for sure.
Yeah, I will say. I mean, Bo Nix is the other leading candidate. Daniels, the team is 8-5. They've really cooled off, and so maybe
Yeah.
the stock that was rising early on has
Mhm.
really taken a turn for the cooler side of the
Yeah.
temperatures as the weather's gotten colder. So we'll see if that can hold up. Plus, you know,
I mean,
I don't know. I just like the idea of a guy who just he set records. He only has four
I mean,
touchdowns this year. Part of that's probably because of his quarterbacks, but
yeah. I mean, he's going to shatter those records. I mean, he's
yeah,
already broke the reception record, and he still got how many games left compared to what Laporta did, and he did it in the final game of the season last year.
yeah, yeah. No,
So
I agree.
yeah, I mean, the season he's having, this is what we expected when Brock Bowers got drafted. We just
Hmm.
weren't sure if it was going to be able to be, he was going to be able to put those numbers up because of the quarterback situation there. But he
Yeah,
said, "Hey, I'm a quarterbackless, player. Anyone can throw me the football, and I'm going to get open."
yeah. No, I like that. That's a great tight end right there. Great tight end.
Mm-hmm.
We got a quick game right here. The Jets go 3-10. Does Aaron Rodgers play next week? I feel like that's what we're going to ask every single time. Are they going to play Aaron Rodgers next week?
I wouldn't. Why? Why? I just I'm surprised he hasn't gotten cut. Honestly, I mean, Woody Johnson's hinted at cutting him at some point. Like I said, if Jordan Travis is healthy enough to go out there, why not just throw Jordan Travis out there? I
Yeah,
mean, you're already bad. Play
yeah. They
for
are at
play for
three and
draft
ten.
stock.
Yeah, but the Dolphins 6-7. Are you seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? Like, hey, maybe they could make a run at this.
Hey, they're making a push.
I
They
know.
they are definitely making a push, and at the right time. I just don't know if it'll be a little too late.
Yeah, they're going to finish the year. They have four more games, so in reality, they could go at best 10-7, and that might
Mm-hmm.
be what you need to get maybe 9 wins, get you into the playoffs. But they get at Houston, San Francisco at home, at Cleveland, at the Jets.
That's a little tough slate there. I mean, because San Francisco's no easy feat.
Hmm.
Houston, we don't know what you're going to get. You might be able to win that game. The Jets, you should beat them. If you lose to the Jets, then you don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and that's
So
also the last game of the season. There's no
yeah.
way Rodgers is playing that. So I think they get two of those, but that becomes the
Mm-hmm.
question: how many wins do you need to get to make it? And as it stands right now, they are behind the Colts, and behind the Broncos. And the Broncos are
Mm-hmm.
in seventh. And you look at that, and there are two losses behind them already. So it may
Yeah.
just be too little, too late.
Yeah. That's what my thinking. I think it's just a little too late. I mean, that loss to the Packers really, hurt your chances on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
You desperately needed that game, but yeah, I just don't think that they have enough time to make up the room unless those two teams in front of them just bomb at the
collapse.
end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Which I mean, at this point, that almost effectively set. Does that mean that the Bengals at 4-8 going into Monday night's game are they done?
they're done.
Yeah, that's wild. At the beginning of the year, if I would have told you the Dolphins and the Bengals with healthy quarterbacks right now are going to be done with playoff atmosphere, playoff mindsets, and we're not even in the middle of December.
I mean, at least the Dolphins have an excuse. At least Tua got hurt.
He did. Yeah.
Bengals, you have no excuse. Joe Burrow has played every single snap, every single game this year. You have no excuse except that your defense is one of the worst defenses I've seen in the NFL. There's
Yeah.
five losses this year where a team has scored 30 points and they lost a game. Four
Hmm.
of them are from the Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah. Now here is the problem that the Broncos have to finish the season. They get against the they get against the Indianapolis Colts at Los Angeles Chargers at the Bengals and then against the Chiefs. So you talk about tough way to end the season. But even if
Yeah,
they win one of those
one.
games, that effectively puts them
Yeah,
in a great position uh, to still be ahead of them as far as record goes. So
yeah.
that's what's crazy.
I mean, Bengals, for them to have any shot, they're going to need a lot of help.
Well, I wasn't talking about the Bengals. I was talking
Yeah,
about for the Dolphins. But
the
yeah, that's a
Dolphins
great
too.
point.
Yeah.
It's just it's a wild time, and we're getting more of those. Hey, they're eliminated, but we're also getting more of those. They just clinched the division with a month left. The
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs did that last night, and another game, another one possession game, and I don't know. So here's what I see across the board in sports.
Mm-hmm.
This is the tagline. The problem with the Chiefs is blah 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 blah. Stop telling me the problem with the Chiefs is they keep winning these games. You cannot tell me that that's the problem with the Chiefs. Oh, you're still muted.
Rex Ryan, he brought up something on Sunday, football yesterday morning, and he's like, look at these teams the last few years that won the most one possession games in the NFL, and he's like naming off the Vikings and the Steelers and this team and this team. What all do they do? They all lost in the first round of the playoffs. So I was like, yeah, but
It's true.
they all have one thing that the Chiefs don't have, and that's Super Bowl rings in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And then another thing they don't have, you don't have Andy Reid. Another thing you
Yeah.
don't have Patrick Mahomes. You're
Yeah.
talking about a team in the Steelers last year who their starting quarterbacks were Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah. It's
talking
just
about
very different.
the Vikings who had Kirk Cousins. No offense to Kirk Cousins, but you're not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. And yeah, call it what it is though. Even with that, is Mike Tomlin is a great coach.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's not the same. I mean,
It's not
it's not Andy Reid. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not a team that's won 3-4 Super Bowls in the last how many years?
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think the game, the speed of it is just slower.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the thing is you have to be perfect to beat the Chiefs. What the Bills did to beat the Chiefs took a Superman run on 4th and 2 because they knew if they kicked the field goal they were gonna lose. All right, but they won. All right, I bet that's fine. And then what would have taken for the Chargers to win last night, or as we recorded this 2 nights ago, it would have been getting the touchdown, going for 2, and making it a 9-point game. That's the only way I see that you for sure. Hey, we got the win because you can't even like the whole thing is do you play not to lose or do you play to win? It's not even that with the Chiefs. You have to play to cut the throat, and that's what the Bills did, and they won. That's what the Chargers did not do last night. And again, they did the right thing on paper, but with the Chiefs, because they're too good at these things, you have to go for the throat, and that's the only way. You had to think, how am I going to cut the throat? I got to get up by 2 possessions right now with 4 minutes left, and even then, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, you can't ever take the foot off the pedal. You have to continually put the pressure on them and make them be perfect at the end of the game for them to have a chance. And you don't keep on pushing them, they're going to come back. They're going to win. It's just how they do it, and they've done it each and every year, and it's what's got them to the Super Bowl and won Super Bowls.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, now they have a 2-game lead over the Bills, or 1.5-game lead essentially because they don't have the tiebreaker, but it's really big. The last game we should probably hit real quick was just the 49ers. Are they back? Or no, sorry. We have 2 games. 49ers, are they back at it, back to normal?
I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to, just because I did expect the Bears to win. Yeah, I did expect the Bears to potentially win that game, but you win, and then you get guys hurt, even more guys hurt. I mean, you lost Isaac Orindo. You lost your third string running back. Now you're down to Patrick Taylor.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're still not put the pieces together. There's just lots of injuries this year, and I still don't necessarily believe in Brock Purdy. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. We'll see what that does. Debo looks old. Anyway, the last one is the Bills that we've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Did anybody call this, by the way? Did anybody call this game? Say that it could have happened?
I think you did.
I think we did. I think the podcast did. We said we're going. They're gonna have you. You said this. They're gonna go from the big win, and then we're gonna go down, and we're just gonna forget how. And they almost stormed back and won this game, but the Rams again. They have got a playoff quarterback, a guy who doesn't quit, and here we are.
Yeah, we thought it was a very potential trap game for them because of the high that they had, and then the crash, having to travel across the country to play
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles, a team that, yeah, maybe still fighting, for that playoff and kind of up and down season, but they're still in that playoff hunt, especially in that division where you never know what can happen. They're still only, 2 games out of, and they have right now, if they have the one win over the Seahawks. So they
Mm-hmm.
already had that little bit of a, leg up on them there. So yeah, this is a team that they know their season isn't done, so they're not going to just lay over for you just because you beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. So I do have one more thing before we kind of. Oh wait, before we do this, do you want to do the reveal for the
Yeah,
hint, or do you
yeah,
want me to
we'll
do
do
my fun fact?
your fun fact, then we'll do the hint at
Okay.
the end.
So I said this yesterday in a conversation, and as a Chiefs fan, I'm not worried about the Broncos right now. I'm definitely not worried about the Raiders. I am worried about the Chargers 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And I told you this. I said I think that the Chargers are the Detroit Lions from 2 years before. And you're like, well, without Knuckles and like all that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So, and I agree with you. But 2 years ago, they didn't have those guys. Do you remember who they had?
They had Jamal Williams and I'm trying to think who the other running back was. I don't remember.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
They combined for a little over 1,100 yards or 1,600 yards total rushing and 22 touchdowns. Obviously,
Yeah.
they still had Jared Goff. The Chargers right now, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards combined right now have a little over 1,000 yards rushing with 4 games left, and they
Mm-hmm.
have 10 touchdowns. So not as many rushing touchdowns, but let's be honest, they're not scoring nearly as much because it's Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
But they play the same way. And I
They do.
think you give them 2 more years, it's not going to be Dobbins and Gus Edwards anymore. It's going to be someone else.
Yeah.
And watch out.
Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh knows how to win. He knows how
Yeah.
to put the team together. Even, no matter where it's at, he always finds a way to win.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
In 2026, I'm going to be saying, look at the Chargers.
Justin Herbert is a Super Bowl champ, is what you're saying.
I better not be saying that. I better not be saying. I don't think that they're that. I don't.
You said it.
Harbaugh hasn't won that one yet. We'll see. But all right, let's get to it. So trivia: if you do guess this right in the comment section, you actually get your extra 3 entries incorrectly entered into the December giveaway. And tell me real quick, last it was an all-decade team. That was the hint, correct?
He made it. So far the two hints is he's a Hall of Fame running back.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of an all-decade team.
Okay.
Now the third hint is he was one of the first running backs let me rephrase. He was one of the first dual threat running backs in NFL history.
I got it. I know who it is.
Okay, do you?
I do. I'll say it offline.
Okay. This is a tough player to guess. But he's one of those guys that really started the trend of receiving running backs. But he wasn't just receiving running back. The guy had a lot of rushing yards also.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it is. All right, so make sure you subscribe to the show. That's the easiest way to get obviously into the drawing for this month. But if you haven't already, make sure you share the show and then also guess who you think this is. A lot of good hints out there. But till then, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
Yeah.